The genre I chose for my music magazine was hip hop. I chose this genre because it is a very clearly defined genre and it's also my favourite genre of music. This means that just from looking at the front cover of a hip hop magazine, you'll be able to identify it as a hip hop one. This is because there are no other genres that are similar to its codes and conventions. The main codes and conventions come from the props and costumes of generally African American rappers, for example, gold chains, rings, and caps. This is because that's where hip hop originated from. My magazine offers a specific area of contents aimed just at hip hop itself and not going to any of its other subgenres. It also has both text and pictures to look at without the page overflowing with too much information at once. The hierarchy of information also helps to stop the page looking so clustered, which is good because hip hop has a mature target audience. Hip hop is a genre which is very serious and represents being a gangster. An important part of hip hop culture is getting the tone and register of the language right. I did this, for example, where instead of saying you, I would put the letter U. I also added in some of the language they might use in everyday life. For example, they might use the word shit. Hip hop is an informal genre which uses slang. To make sure that I got the tone and register right, I looked at other magazines and noted any words that I thought would fit into my magazine. To make sure that I created a magazine that the target audience liked, I created a pre-production poll daddy and an analysis of this poll daddy. This made sure that what I planned was what the target market wanted and had a need for. Some of the magazines that I looked at to get the codes and conventions of my magazine right were XXL, Hip Hop Connection, and The Source. Each of those magazines have a link to the official website for each magazine below. I looked at these magazines because these are the main hip hop magazines at the moment. This means that they will follow the codes and conventions of a hip hop magazine. As shown from the colour scheme of my magazine, black, red, and yellow, these are all the colours which fit the codes and conventions of this magazine. This is because these colours give the magazine contrast, so select parts of the magazine can stand out linking into the hierarchy of importance. Examples of this is the masthead on each of the example magazines being shown, contrasting from the background colour. Another reason for choosing these magazines is because they are popular. They had to be doing something right for the target audience to like them, so if I added this into my magazine, then the target audience will also like my magazine, equaling in more sales. Another thing I looked at in my magazines was the photography being used. By looking at examples, I found that one style of photography for the main image was to have a mid-shot for the artist, who would be wearing bling and making direct address with the audience while looking serious. The mid-shot allows the audience to see in enough detail who the artist is, but to also have enough space to allow the rest of the shot to show the codes and conventions of hip-hop, such as gold chains and the artist's costume. This is important because one of the main hip-hop codes and conventions is fashion, and is one of the most important things to the target audience. They are also normally shot indoors in a shooting studio and have a solid colour background so that the consumer's attention isn't drawn away from the main image. Another code and convention from the main image is the facial expression. In all of the magazines that I looked at, the facial expression is often with a straight face, looking intimidating or angry. This is because hip hop is seen as a serious music genre and it helps to convey that. The artist will know they always have direct address with the audience. This is to make the consumer feel more engaged with the magazine, but to also add more intimidation to the artist's facial expression. It helps the artists portray themselves as tough and hard because hip hop originated from the streets. I also noticed that the music videos are just motion pictures and have the same codes and conventions as hip hop magazines. Some of these codes and conventions are the props, gold chains, rings. This photo is a screenshot out of a hip hop music video. There is a massive difference between the codes and conventions of different genre magazines. To show this, I looked at pop magazines. This is because the target audience is completely different, so the codes and conventions will be too. As shown, pop magazines have completely different codes and conventions. Pop magazines are very bright and colourful. They will also generally have more than one picture on the front cover with lots of words. This makes the page very congested, which is the opposite of hip hop magazines. Overall, I didn't subvert the codes and conventions of hip hop, so I decided to stick with them. This is because all successful magazines follow these codes and conventions.